today we've got our story about a man named Kenwa Mabuni. Kenwa Mabuni is the one who actually started Shito-Ryu, our style of karate. Okay. So our story is going to be about him today, and it's actually a 4-part series. So the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about Kenwa Mabuni and a couple of different aspects of karate. Okay. And this is off of a series of articles that was sent that I found from a guy named Jesse Enkamp. He's a gentleman from Sweden but he's on the national team for Finland. But he's got a very good knowledge of karate and karate history. And so this is a story that was article that he found talking about Kenwa Mabuni. And that was written by a friend of his. So it's called Legends of Karate, Mabuni Kenwa and his Shito-Ryu, which a lot of times you'll hear in Japanese names, and you'll hear in Chinese too, they'll actually say the last name before the first name. So it would be Shiner Chase or Gilead Leah. Okay, so you'll see it pronounced that way a lot of times. But his introduction to this is Legends of Karate, Mabuni Kenwa and Shito-Ryu, which in my opinion should be entitled How Mabuni Kenwa Totally Owned the World of Karate. By the way, created Shotokan in the process, which is another style of karate. One of the main styles recognized in Japan. Okay? So here's the story. Mabuni Kenwa was born on November 14th, 1889 in Shuri in Okinawa. His father, Kempo, worked as a confectionery salesman in Shuri and was the 16th offspring of the Oni Ogusuku, an Okinawan aristocratic family. During the Ryukyu Kingdom, which was what Okinawa was called at the time, he wore the honorary title of Paichin. Kempo and his wife decided to name their son Kenwa, which means the wise and harmonic. As a child, Mabuni was quite weak and susceptible to illness. At the early age of 10 years, a servant apparently introduced him into the art of karate for the first time. 3 years later, at the age of 13, on the recommendation of his father, Mabuni started training with the secretary and renowned karate master Itosu Anko, the Holy Fist of Shurite. So what that means is back then, martial arts, which Chase is probably the only one here with that. We talked about Matsumoto, the guy that fought the bull. You know, he traveled and spent time in China and brought back Chuan Fa, which was a fighting style out of China. And they changed some things and started calling it just Tay or hand. And it was more specifically named according to the city. And you had 3 major cities of this fighting style. You had it in Naha, Shuri, and Tomari. So it was either Tomari-te, Shuri-te, or Naha-te. Okay? So Anko Itosu was the Holy Fist of Shuri-te. Mabuni was very enthusiastic about Itosu's training and did not miss any lesson until his 20th birthday. The training with Itosu was quite intense, and over the years, Mabuni learned all 23 kata of Itosu's system. Just a little bit. During his time at Okinawa's prefectural first middle school, Mabuni also trained with Hanashiro Chomo, one of Itosu's top students. In 1909, Itosu told Mabuni to expand his knowledge with other teachers. Mabuni knew Chojin Miyagi already from school and knew him to be a karate student of Kanru Higashiyama. We talked about Higashiyama last week. You'll see it either pronounced Higashiyama or Higaonna. Finally, Miyagi made the contact between the two, and Higashiyama accepted Mabuni as a student. From that moment on, and for the following 2 years, Mabuni trained parallel with Itosu and Higashiyama. Higashiyama taught Mabuni the Naha-te, and Mabuni returned the favor with an outstanding showing of dedication. So now he was learning Naha-te and Shuri-te, 2 different styles of this, what would later be called karate. In 1907, Mabuni began to work as a substitute teacher at an elementary school in Naha. 2 years later, he was drafted into military service in Kumamoto. This experience should have induced him to start an apprenticeship at the local police academy in 1912. There, Mabuni was also taught some kendo, which is it's a style of Japanese sword fighting where they wear all this gear and they hit each other with bamboo sticks. Okay, and judo. After he passed, he became a police inspector in Naha in 1915. It was the same year that his long-lived teacher Itosu Anko died. To pay homage to his teacher, Mabuni practiced kata at Itosu's grave on a daily basis for an entire year. So he went to his teacher's grave and every day practiced kata. During this time, Mabuni also started his training with Aragaki Seishu Tsuji Paichin from Kume village. Aragaki, who was, because of his agility, also called Mayo, or the cat, taught the southern Chinese style of monk fist boxing. He had already taught Mabuni's teacher, Higashiyama, as well as Chojin Miyagi and Gichin Funakoshi. And Gichin Funakoshi, you'll learn, is he was the guy that started Shotokan Karate. Aragaki taught Mabuni his versions of Unsu, Soshin, and Niseishi kata, which are more advanced kata. Another important influence on Mabuni during these days was the Chinese tea merchant and Quan Fa expert Wu Xiangui. He introduced Mabuni to the style of white crane boxing and taught him the three kata Nipai, Haporen, and Hakutsuru. In 1918, at just 29 years old, Mabuni was already a highly regarded and respected member of the Okinawan martial arts community and about to enter one of the most pivotal years of his life. On February 13th, Mabuni's first son, Kanai, was born. Mabuni decided to found the Karate Kenkyu Kai. This society for the research on the Chinese hand was considered something quite unique in those days and had a considerable amount of first-class karate masters as members. So it was named Chinese hand. So you heard it called Tei or Tui Tei, which meant Chinese hand. It wasn't called karate until it was taken to Japan, and the Japanese didn't want to associate it with China. So they said, we can't have something called Chinese hand. We're going to have to call it empty hand. We're going to have to call it something different. Okay. In 1924, Mabuni accepted several teaching positions and taught karate at the Okinawan Prefectural Teachers College, the Fisheries College, and the Police Academy. A year later, Mabuni opened his first dojo in the backyard of his house and founded the Chinese Hand Research Club. Following that, he closed the now needless Karate Kenkyu Kai, and we can guess that the members of the Karate Kenkyu Kurabu also taught regularly in Mabuni's dojo, and thus they had an agile, technical, and philosophical knowledge. Everybody knew that Mabuni's house was a mecca for Karate Do men. Remember his son Kanai. Really, the elite of modern karate gathered there. In January of 1927, Dr. Kano Jigoro, the founder of Judo, and his student Nagaoka Hidekazu visited the Karate Kenkyu Kurabu, and at this opportunity, Mabuni and his friend Miyagi performed various kata of karate. Kano was quite impressed by this performance and encouraged them to spread their art on the Japanese mainland. Kano characterized karate as a universal martial art suitable for attack and defense, and had the opinion that such an ideal Budo or warrior needed to spread all over the country. Kano said to Mabuni, according to your ability, you should be rewarded fourth degree black belt in judo right on the spot. This conversation most likely acted as a catalyst for Mabuni to relocate from Okinawa to Tokyo in 1928. For the following 10 months, Mabuni lived at the home of Kunishi Yasuhiro Tenshin, a student of Funakoshi. Kunishi was an accountant expert of the Japanese martial arts, and at that time had already skilled in kendo, musoru jujitsu, and takenouchi-ryu jujitsu. He had also trained karate with Funakoshi and would later become one of the most important figures in the development and spread of karate in Japanese mainland. Mabuni and Kunishi shared a great passion for the martial arts and must have liked each other right from the start. Mabuni taught Kunishi evidently various kata in those days. Although not proven yet, we can assume that Kunishi then introduced Mabuni to the basic techniques of Muso or Takenouchi-Ryu Jiu-Jitsu in return. Kunishi also frequently joined Mabuni to karate demonstrations and even traveled with them to Wakayama Prefecture to train with Weiichi Konbun, the founder of Weiichi-Ryu. Under the impression of this experience, Mabuni and Kunishi developed the kata Shinpa, which encompassed the defensive principles learned from Weiichi. Out of respect for Funakoshi, Mabuni left Tokyo and moved to Osaka in 1929 and completely devoted himself to his wish to spread karate all over the country. Osaka in Japan is where you find a lot of huge grouping of Shito-Ryu people are in Osaka. That's where our Hambu dojo for Kunabakai is in Osaka. That's where Soki grew up. It's a really cool city. I got to go there with Hanshi and Shiandai Donna and a few others for a tournament after I got my black belt back in 1996. And so it's a really cool city. Okay. And see if I can show you guys. There's some pictures right there of Mabuni practicing kata. I don't know if y'all can see those very well. He followed the approach of his countryman Funakoshi and started to teach karate independently at various universities and police academies. The club of the Chinese Hand of the Kansai University was founded in May 1930, and Mabuni started to teach there later on and was supported by his companion and teacher Wu Jiangui. Other teaching places that followed included the Higher Pharmaceutical Technical College in Osaka and the Higher Medical Technical School in Osaka. In 1934, Mabuni finally opened his first own dojo in Japan, the Yoshukan, which means House of Proper Education. His first student in these days was Sawayama Masaru, the later founder of Nihon Kempo. Weiichi Kanai, which is different from the other Weiichi, must have shortly followed after. During the mid-1930s, Mabuni gave greater focus to his own development and trained almost daily together with Kunishi Otsuka Hironori, the founder of Wado-Ryu, which is another main Japanese style of karate, and Yoshiba Morihei, the founder of Aikido. At the time, there were already various styles of karate on the mainland, and the Great Japanese Society for Martial Arts, or for Martial Virtues, wanted the different schools to separate from each other. Mabuni first decided to name his kind of karate as Hanko-Ryu, which means half-hard style. So that's originally what Shito-Ryu was called, was Hanko-Ryu. But out of respect for his two main teachers, he decided to change the name to Shito-Ryu. This name derives from the Sino-Japanese reading of the first kanji of the names of Itosu and Higashiono. So he took the first characters of each name, put them together, and that's how he came up with Shito-Ryu. In 1939, the Dainihon Butokukai registered the name while also awarding Mabuni the title of a karate grandmaster. And like the rest of Japan, the Second World War highly affected the still young Shito-Ryu community. Many of Mabuni's students died or were severely wounded. Mabuni survived the war but lost most of his property. His former students gathered bit by bit at their old training place and continued their practice. And the rest is to be continued. So next week, we'll do part 2 of Mabuni and his Shito-Ryu.